Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a story that sounds like it's ripped from a political thriller, but it's playing out right now. The intense, complicated, and now spectacularly unraveled relationship between former President Donald Trump and billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk.
Right. These are two of the world's most powerful and unconventional figures, both masters of commanding attention and using social media. Their alliance escalated really fast from, you know, initial skepticism to something truly close, only to just break down publicly months into Trump's return to office.
And we've got a stack of sources, analyses, reports, timelines to help us navigate the twists and turns. Our mission today is to understand how they went from wary acquaintances to first buddy and major donor, what happened when Musk took on a government role, what specifically caused the dramatic public breakup, the immediate fallout, and what this whole saga tells us about power, influence, and political alliances today.
Think of this deep dive as your shortcut to being well-informed on this fascinating high-stakes drama. I mean, what does it tell you about how modern power works when these two figures clash so publicly?
So let's set the stage. You have Donald Trump and Elon Musk, both incredibly influential, both unconventional, bypassing traditional media, speaking directly on social media, and, consistently making headlines.
Yeah, and their relationship was unexpected, right? Musk wasn't historically aligned with Trump or the Republican Party. His prior political leanings were, well, quite different.
Absolutely. In fact, let's go back. In 2016, Musk publicly stated Trump wasn't fit to run, flat out.
Wow, okay.
Then in 2017, he resigned from two presidential advisory boards over Trump, pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement. He was clear. Climate change is real. And sources point out his voting record before 2024 was for Democrats, Clinton in 2016, Biden in 2020. He was critical during Trump's first term.
That history is crucial because it frames the massive shift that happened later. It wasn't an ideological alignment from the start, which suggests something else was driving the connection. It feels more like a pragmatic, maybe even sort of transactional shift in his political engagement over time, maybe linked to changing views or just where he saw benefit for his businesses.
And you could see flashes of volatility even as they started reconnecting. In January 2022, Trump called Musk a great genius.
Right.
But just 6 months later, Trump was calling him another Bulls artist, and Musk fired back that Trump was too old.
Yeah. That early back and forth showed the inherent instability even before things got serious.
Yeah.
The really crucial turning point, though, was October 2022 when Musk acquired Twitter, now X, and reinstated Trump's account.
That was huge. It immediately gave Trump his direct pipeline back to a massive audience, and it was foundational to rebuilding their connection.
Definitely. From there, the alignment accelerated rapidly. By September 2023, Musk was publicly supporting a U.S. border wall.
Quite a shift.
And then the relationship reached its absolute peak after the attempted assassination in July 2024. In the immediate aftermath, Musk fully endorsed President Trump and publicly wished him a rapid recovery.
And following that, the sources show Musk became a truly substantial Republican political donor, pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into supporting Trump and other Republicans in 2024. We're talking 250, maybe 300 million.
A huge amount.
Yeah.
And the personal closeness became undeniable. Musk joined Trump on the campaign trail, wore a Make America Great Again hat, even referred to himself as Dark MAGA, which is, a term associated with a more online, maybe extreme faction of Trump supporters.
Right. And sources reported they were spending significant time together. Musk reportedly sat in on and even held talks with foreign leaders.
Yes, the report said they were together almost every day for a period, with Musk even referring to himself as first buddy. He spent months after the election renting a cottage at Mar-a-Lago, celebrated election night there, even posted an AI-generated image of himself saluting the flag. Trump visited a SpaceX launch with Musk, too.
These weren't just private hangouts, though. Sources call them highly visible performative acts. I mean, both are masters of public image. And they were clearly leveraging this association. Trump gained a kind of veneer of tech-forward thinking, especially after being banned from social media.
And Musk gained unparalleled political access, elevating his status significantly. It was a mutually beneficial exchange of symbolic capital, basically, a strategic alliance, where Trump used Musk's image and wealth, and Musk gained influence he likely saw as a way to advance his own agendas and influence policy.
That performative aspect really shows the strategic nature was there from the start, which makes its public unraveling equally dramatic and strategic.
Exactly. And that unraveling really began to gather steam after Musk took on a formal role in the administration. Early in 2025, Trump announced Musk would co-head a new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE.
DOTE, right. Initially with Vivek Ramaswamy, although Ramaswamy later stepped aside, leaving Musk to lead.
And the goal of DOGE was simple, at least on paper: slash federal spending and streamline bureaucracy.
Musk was appointed as a special government employee, which is a temporary designation, though he publicly suggested he might, stay on indefinitely.
During those first months, Musk was frequently by Trump's side, speaking at cabinet meetings. Trump publicly praised him, saying he was leading the most sweeping and consequential government reform and achieving colossal change.
But then he officially departed his government role at the end of May 2025, received a ceremonial key to the White House. He cited his scheduled time ending and needing to focus on his companies, saying the DOGE mission could gain momentum.
But here's where a major contradiction comes in. The entire stated purpose of DOGE was efficiency and cutting spending. Yet, right around the time of his departure, Congress was finalizing Trump's big, beautiful bill, which became the catalyst for the feud.
Ah, the bill.
Yeah. Sources describe that bill as massive, outrageous, pork-filled, and projected to increase deficits by trillions, like $2.4 trillion over a decade.
So even while Musk had this formal role-pushing efficiency, the administration was backing legislation that directly contradicted that mission on a huge scale. That fundamental tension was just built into the situation from the get-go.
It really showed that despite his access and title, his influence was limited when it came to core legislative priorities. It was kind of a preview of the bigger conflict to come.
And Musk's time leading DOGE was definitely controversial. He claimed the department saved the government a substantial amount, over $160 billion, by terminating contracts and modernizing IT.
But those figures fell significantly short of his initial, much more ambitious promises, which were in the trillions, right? And even fell short of his revised goal for that fiscal year. Plus, sources noted issues with the DOGE website itself, describing it as riddled with errors.
And beyond the numbers, there was significant disruption. Sources reported over 100,000 layoffs, with thousands more fired or pushed out, leading to legal challenges. Some government functions were severely impacted, described as eviscerated.
Like agencies such as USA, that's the U.S. Agency for International Development, provides much of our foreign humanitarian aid. Researchers actually estimated the cuts there had devastating consequences, potentially leading to hundreds of thousands of deaths. Though, it's important to note, the State Department stated key health programs like PEPFAR remained operational.
Still a huge impact. There were also reports of internal friction, including intense disagreements, maybe even a brawl between Musk and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
Right, an explosive West Wing brawl was the term used. And a particularly contentious incident involved the U.S. Institute of Peace, which is an independent, nonprofit institution created by Congress. Sources reported DOGE allegedly attempted an illegal takeover, using armed agents and private security to forcibly remove staff who believed DOGE's actions were unlawful.
That sounds unbelievable. And when DOG eventually left the premises, staff reportedly found the property damaged, IT systems dismantled, documents destroyed, and the USIP's website erased, wiping out over 4 decades of research.
Just gone. Sources also cited concerning conditions in the offices, with reports of pests like rats and roaches, and alleged marijuana found in trashed offices, though Musk vehemently denied any drug use, accusing the New York Times of lying.
So despite Trump's public praise upon his departure, Musk's tenure at DOGE seemed marked by controversy, aggressive tactics, and, well, falling short of his most ambitious targets.
Yeah, it became a kind of case study in the dangers of trying to apply a disruptive tech mindset to government without fully understanding the complexities, the legal frameworks, and frankly, the human impact. The massive gap between promised and delivered savings, the severe consequences for some agencies and personnel, and incidents like the alleged takeover of the USIP. It painted a picture that definitely contributed to the wearing thin narrative Trump later used.
And that brings us to the breaking point. Just days after leaving DOGE, Musk began publicly criticizing Trump's big, beautiful bill. He called it a disgusting abomination and a massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill.
His objections were very specific and tied directly to his interests. The bill included changes rolling back clean energy tax credits, phasing out incentives for electric vehicles, the $7,500 tax break by the end of 2026, ending battery subsidies, terminating EV charging station credits, and even proposed a new $250 annual fee for EV owners.
Ouch. And Musk pointedly stated these cuts were Very unfair, because as you noted, no oil and gas subsidies are touched.
Right. He also argued the bill would increase the federal deficit by that 2.4 trillion figure,
Yeah.
directly undermining the cost-cutting mission of DOGE that he had just led.
Musk's frustration was so public and intense that he threatened to use his political organization to fire all politicians who betrayed the American people by voting for the bill.
This public condemnation was the direct cause of the feud erupting. It really reveals a clash between the stated policy goals of DOGE fiscal responsibility and the fact that the bill directly impacted his core business, Tesla, by targeting EV subsidies. The big beautiful bill was the breaking point because it challenged both his business interests and directly contradicted the public policy goals that had drawn him into the administration in the first place.
It put him in an untenable position, didn't it? His pragmatic alignment with Trump couldn't survive a direct financial threat to his primary businesses. It really underscores that transactional element shared goals were secondary when his own interests were on the line.
And President Trump's response was immediate and, well, highly characteristic. He aimed to completely discredit Musk's criticism. While meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Trump publicly said he was disappointed, adding, "Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore."
Then on Truth Social, Trump made some really strong claims, saying Musk was around for the whole process of crafting the bill, knew every aspect better than almost anybody, and never had a problem until the EV parts were eliminated, which Trump claimed threatened Tesla.
Trump went further, claiming he asked him to leave because Musk was wearing thin and just went crazy. After Trump took away his EV mandate, which Trump alleged forced people to buy EVs, and which Trump claims Musk knew he was going to do for months.
He even suggested Musk might be suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, implying hostility from former administration members who just miss it so badly. Kind of a classic Trump line.
Totally. And as a final point of friction, Trump cited Musk's promotion of Jared Isaacman to run NASA, stating he withdrew the nomination because Isaacman was totally a Democrat. Though sources close to the situation suggested it was more about Isaacman's ties to Musk than his past political donations.
This response wasn't just about refuting Musk's policy arguments. It was a direct attack on Musk's credibility, sanity, and loyalty. It's a clear example of what sources called the weaponization of personal loyalty and narrative control.
It's a classic Trumpian tactic, right? Delegitimizing critics by questioning their character or motives. And the withdrawal of Isaacman's nomination reinforces that idea of swift retribution for perceived disloyalty. It highlights the expectation of absolute loyalty within Trump's orbit, and the immediate public pushback against anyone seen as stepping out of line sends a message.
And then the feud really exploded into an all-out brawl on Truth Social and X. Trump initiated direct threats.
Oh yeah, he publicly stated, "The easiest way to save money is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts for SpaceX and Starlink." He even expressed surprise that the previous administration hadn't done so.
Musk responded defiantly on X, posting simply, "Go ahead, make my day."
And in a really dramatic escalation, Musk announced that SpaceX would begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately, in direct response to Trump's threat against the company's contracts.
Wow, pulling out the big guns. Musk also directly pushed back on Trump's claim that he knew about the bill, stating on X that this bill was never shown to me even once, and was passed in the dead of night so fast that almost no one in Congress could even read it.
And he even escalated to claiming election influence. "Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House." Such ingratitude, which, Trump later dismissed.
The exchange quickly devolved into personal attacks, direct threats against each other's businesses, leveraging their platforms for maximum public impact.
It moved far beyond policy to a personalized battle for credit, power, and financial leverage. Both are known for aggressive, confrontational styles, and they absolutely weaponize their massive social media followings. While this public spectacle might paradoxically reinforce their brands as uncompromising and powerful, it clearly comes at the cost of stability and predictability. It just highlights the increasing role of these volatile social media pronouncements in shaping real-world political and economic outcomes.
And then Musk dropped what sources called the really big bomb, an extraordinary allegation. He claimed that Trump is in the Epstein files, and this is the real reason they have not been made public. He urged his followers to mark this post, the truth will come out.
Okay, now, it's really crucial to understand the context here. The Justice Department had already released a first phase of Epstein-related documents months earlier. It was public knowledge that Trump, along with figures like Bill Clinton, were referenced in court documents related to Epstein, though Trump has not been accused of any wrongdoing linked to him. Musk offered no proof for his specific claim about Trump being in the files and did specify which documents he was referring to.
Right, no proof offered. The White House press secretary downplayed Musk's accusation publicly, calling it an unfortunate episode from Elon, who is unhappy with the bill. A source questioned the timing, asking why Musk would make such a claim now after months of close association if he truly believed it before.
This allegation represents a significant escalation. I mean, it moves beyond policy or political credit to a highly sensitive, potentially damaging personal attack. The lack of immediate proof, coupled with the timing right after Trump attacked him, strongly suggests a retaliatory motive. Sources called it the weaponization of disinformation and speculation. Musk's claim, made without evidence precisely when Trump was attacking him, seems clearly intended for maximum public damage and maybe to divert attention.
It definitely leveraged existing public fascination and, frankly, conspiracy theories surrounding Epstein. It demonstrates how personal feuds among powerful figures can descend into these unsubstantiated yet impactful allegations, potentially damaging the accuser's credibility, too, and eroding public trust in information generally.
Yeah, absolutely. As the feud continued, Musk broadened his attacks beyond just the bill and the Epstein allegation. He openly supported a social media post suggesting Trump should be impeached and replaced by VP J.D. Vance, simply responding, yes.
Wow, just yes. And Musk also took aim at one of Trump's signature economic policies, predicting Trump's tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year.
These attacks show Musk's complete break from Trump's political agenda and a clear willingness to align with opposition viewpoints. The rapid shift from being Trump's top donor and first buddy to supporting impeachment and criticizing core economic policies is really striking. It strongly suggests Musk's political positions are, highly fluid and reactive rather than deeply entrenched ideological commitments.
It underscores the transactional and conditional nature of his alliances. Loyalty seems tied to specific policy outcomes or personal interests, and when those are threatened, he is prepared to publicly disavow and attack his former allies. It's quite something.
This makes him a powerful but unpredictable political actor. His influence seems contingent on alignment with his immediate objectives, and when that alignment breaks, he's prepared to use his platform and resources to challenge even the person he just poured hundreds of millions into electing.
Let's look at the tangible impacts then. The feud had immediate financial repercussions for Tesla. On the day the public feud erupted, June 5th, shares of Tesla plunged significantly, dropping well over 10%, maybe even 14%, according to some reports.
A huge drop. This sharp decline wiped out well over $100 billion, maybe $150 billion from Tesla's market value in just one day. Musk's personal stake in Tesla saw a substantial paper loss, estimated at approximately $20 billion.
$20 billion. And this dramatically reversed a significant gain in Tesla's stock after the election, which had actually doubled its market value based on expectations of relaxed regulation and embracing Musk's robotaxi vision. Sources note these gains had already been partly eroded during Musk's time at DOGE, partly due to boycotts and reputational damage, perhaps.
Investors were clearly concerned that Trump's antagonism could impact autonomous vehicle regulation, potentially delaying the highly anticipated robotaxi initiative. That's a huge part of Tesla's future valuation narrative.
Right.
The feud also carried significant implications for SpaceX and its government contracts. Trump explicitly threatened to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts for SpaceX and Starlink. SpaceX receives billions from NASA for projects like the ISS and its mega moon rocket, and Starlink deals also have connections to government activity, diplomacy even.
And Musk's public response to Trump's threat, the dramatic announcement to begin decommissioning SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft immediately, highlighted just how high the stakes were for his businesses. He wasn't messing around.
The market sensitivity to this political risk and regulatory uncertainty was immediately evident. Tesla's stock performance became closely correlated with its perceived political favor. It surged post-election when the alliance was strong, but plummeted dramatically when the feud erupted. This shows that investors are actively pricing in political risk. The threat of government action, particularly terminating lucrative contracts, directly impacts the valuation of these companies. It demonstrates how deeply intertwined Musk's business empire is with government policy and political relationships. It's a powerful case study for how political unpredictability translates into tangible financial losses. Real money, huge money.
On the political side, the ramifications are also significant, particularly for the Republican Party. Musk was the single largest Republican donor in 2024, contributing those hundreds of millions. This abrupt split clearly raises questions about future campaign funding.
And Musk further complicated things by threatening to use his political organization to target Republican lawmakers who voted for the bill he called a disgusting abomination in upcoming midterm elections.
However, despite Musk's immense financial influence and public platform, Republican leaders generally downplayed his criticism, indicating they would proceed with the legislation. Senate Majority Leader Thune, House Speaker Jensen, they basically shrugged it off publicly.
This really underscores that Trump's kingmaker status in GOP primaries remains paramount, seemingly even over a major donor like Musk. The withdrawal of Jared Isaacman's nomination for NASA head also seemed more about his ties to Musk than his past political donations, further illustrating the cost of perceived disloyalty to Trump.
The broader implications for political alliances are stark. This whole saga was characterized by some as an ugly celebrity breakup and a clash of the titans. Some quipped that only comedians were the winners from the public spectacle. And Democrats are, predictably, trying to leverage Musk's criticism of the bill for their own political gain.
Ultimately, this reveals the limits of financial influence in a personality-driven political landscape. Musk's massive financial contributions didn't prevent Trump from pursuing a legislative agenda that directly harmed Musk's business interests or from publicly attacking him. GOP leaders prioritized Trump's agenda over Musk's objections.
It demonstrates that while money can buy access, it doesn't guarantee policy outcomes or unwavering loyalty from a figure like Trump, whose power is rooted in his personal brand and connection with his base. It's a different kind of currency.
Exactly. Trump's status appears more potent than even substantial financial backing when it comes to core issues or perceived disloyalty. It exposes the limitations of immense financial power when it comes up against a strong, personality-driven political machine. Influence here was clearly contingent on alignment with Trump, diminishing rapidly when that alignment broke. This dramatic falling out could even discourage other wealthy donors, potentially reshaping future campaign finance dynamics. Who knows?
So, to recap this deep dive, we've seen the journey from initial skepticism to a period of intense closeness and bromance, Musk's controversial and disruptive tenure in government, and finally, a dramatic public breakup fueled by policy clashes, personal interests, and escalating social media warfare.
Yeah, and the key takeaways from our sources seem pretty clear. The relationship was fundamentally transactional and opportunistic. Musk's time in DOGE highlighted the significant risks of applying that disruptive tech mindset to government without fully understanding its complexities and human impact. The Big Beautiful Bill confrontation exposed the fundamental conflict between Musk's business interests and his stated principles.
The feud showed the weaponization of social media platforms, unsubstantiated allegations, and narrative control in high-stakes conflicts. And it demonstrated the market's immediate sensitivity to political risk and the stark limits of even immense financial influence when confronting a personality-driven political power structure like Trump's.
Looking ahead, the future of their relationship is incredibly unpredictable. Both Trump and Musk have a history of shifting alliances and pragmatic realignments. You wouldn't necessarily bet against them finding common ground again someday, maybe.
It's hard to say. But Musk, with his vast wealth, his company's reliance on government policy, and his massive social media platform, remains a powerful, albeit unpredictable, political actor. He will undoubtedly continue to influence political dynamics, perhaps now from outside the direct Trump orbit.
So consider this deep dive into Trump and Musk, two individuals wielding immense power and influence through very different means. What does their public falling out tell you about how power truly operates in the modern world, where personal brands, policy, money, and social media collide?
And how does this sort of high-profile unpredictability shape the landscape for everyone else? Something to think about.